All right, I'm here with Matt Alter. The first thing I'd like to discuss with you, Matt, is can you describe the main components of the new peer support program at the Cincinnati Fire Department and what are their core objectives?
Oh, it's deep. Well, so main components with any peer support program, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's peer-to-peer. Pretty proud of the program we have. It's based off of the curriculum and the program designed by the International Association of Firefighters, who really have become like the gold standard in training, and that you don't find many occupations at all. Actually, I know that the other side of public safety, the police, don't really have like a standard curriculum how to do it, but the IFF does a really good job with that, and we've expanded on it. And it's building off of what basically pre-existed peer support, which was CISM, the critical incident stress management, the critical incidents teams, which was around for a long time, and peer support kind of evolved from that. And what they were finding is it still exists today in firehouses. When you see a group of firefighters sitting around, at the bumper of the truck or behind the fire truck in the bay, or just sitting around the kitchen table, regaling their tales of heroism for some run, it's that's therapeutic. That's their way of venting about it. And what they've found more and more as time has gone on is that the number of calls, the demands for service for the fire department have gone up. So the type of stuff that we've seen has increased exponentially. Say it's been about 50 years since the fire service, a little longer, have really jumped into the fray of emergency medical service, and that's really where a lot of this stems from. Is it went from just fighting fires to seeing some of the stuff on auto accidents and medical emergencies, and just the repetition of over the time. Here in Cincinnati, we didn't have anything. Really. I'm gonna be honest with you. We had a the city of Cincinnati had a PEAP program, Public Employee Assistance Program. That was basically it. Hey, if you need somebody to talk to, go talk to PEAP. But we had nothing. And as we were getting more information about it, and what we were finding is sometimes that there are can I put that on pause real quick? I have to take this I apologize, I'm sorry, just give me one quick. Yeah, so we were talking about some of the core principles of the peer support program, and I forget the second part of that, but finish off on the core principles. The big thing is making sure that we're providing peer-to-peer support for our members, so that it doesn't have this adverse impact, whether it be on their employment. So sometimes the stressors of the job, just from seeing what they see, they manifest themselves in different ways. It's not as easy or as visible as just lashing out or seeing some of these stereotypical signs. Sometimes it is just in workplace performance issues. Maybe the reason somebody's late or somebody is not as proficient at their job as they should be is secondary to what's really going on. So getting the members the support that they need before something happens, making sure that members that may unfortunately develop some sort of substance use disorder, if that's the case, that they get the help they need. Working with the IFF, the Center of Excellence, we've been able to successfully send a number of members to that. The Center of Excellence deals with members not just with substance use disorders, but they also deal with members that are dealing with PTSD. They're one of the first in the country to do it. And they can deal with PTSD alone or PTSD in conjunction with a substance use disorder. But making sure that it's available when also members need it. It's a little too late to put them on hold or not have it. So part of the peer support program is to have a large number of peer support counselors they're available, and they're available 24/7, 365. And it's also working within a network of peer support counselors that hello. By having these peer support, a large network of peer support counselors, so fellow firefighters, we're bringing in a wide array of just experience, both in the fire service, but also life experience. We're making sure that we're representative of the organization, that we have, members that they feel the most comfortable with. Some male members may only be comfortable with males, females with females. So when you have an organization like ours, we're always, want to make sure that we're conscious that we're representative and have something available for everybody. So we do have a dedicated peer support counselor now. Joe Elliott is his name, and he does that full time. And we just recently acquired through the assistance of the Fire Foundation, the Cincinnati Fire Foundation, a mental health support animal. Taffy's her name, and is also available to help out. But it keeps them very busy. We're going on about 2 years. I think it's 2 years in October that we've had this program in the Cincinnati Fire Department, and over a quarter of the members have individually reached out for some sort of assistance or just a talk with our peer support team.
Awesome. Okay, that was a great explanation. The next thing I'd like to ask is, could you walk us through how the peer support program works? How are peer supporters selected and trained?
Sure. Well, yeah, kind of talked a little bit about the mechanics of how it works, but I mean, any member at any time, it transcends rank. It's one of the few things that in the peer support system, rank has no privilege.
Okay.
And nor should it. I mean, you could be a high rank and need outreach to reach out. You could be a lower rank, or anywhere between. So firefighter, assistant chief, whomever may need it. Folks that are interested, when we have training, we have classes, they submit it. There are things that are taken into consideration before they're selected. Some of it is making sure that that generally speaking they have a pretty clean record in terms of their employment corrective action folder. That there may not be some underlying issue there as well. Integrity and trustworthiness is always key. I mean, I think that's an integral part of our job, but it's also next level. Members are opening up about some really, really serious personal information, and making sure that we have the right individuals that are able to, one day maybe speak with somebody about something very, very serious, but the next day they might see them on the scene or in a run, and knowing that they can keep that information confidential and private is key. The training, again, is based on the standard curriculum that is given through the International Association of Firefighters Peer Support Program, but a number of continuing education programs and conferences and classes are offered. I think we have one next week, we have 2 the following week. Peer support program is also implemented every Friday. There's a weekly hike that they do in some parks, just to kind of go out and be able to spend time with fellow firefighters if you so choose to do that. We offer yoga here every Monday at the union office for all of our members. So just some different things like that to sometimes get firefighters together outside the firehouse, and sometimes you're just able to kind of deal with each other on like a human level. You're not in uniform, there's no rank insignia on your collar, and you're getting out of that environment. That's it's a little bit less stressful. Kind of like service animals, when they put that vest on, they know they're working. We're a little bit similar, and I'm not saying as a bunch of firefighters we're a bunch of dogs, but we're a little bit. We're creatures of routine, and we put that uniform on, and we go right back into this routine, and it's getting them out of that environment. So yeah, it's the training, like I said, is pretty standard, and I think the selection process.
Awesome. Okay. The next thing I will ask is, can you share how the program has been received by firefighters? What has been the feedback from participants?
Like anything, I think initially it was a bit skeptical, but it's been received very well, very, very well. The feedback has been very well, overwhelmingly very positive, by having the peer support team that is has a number of members that, again, like I talked about earlier, that's representative. The nice thing is, if somebody isn't comfortable with it, or hey, I spoke to so and so, and it really, and they may not, if they didn't feel that they were comfortable with it, we have the ability to say, hey, well, let's get you, maybe we get you to talk to somewhere else. We also can plug you into a larger network. The county has a team, the state has a team, and being part of the IFF, we could get plugged in with the IFF if we need to. There's folks that are like, hey, I want to talk to somebody, but I don't want to talk to somebody in Cincinnati. I want to talk to somebody somewhere else or outside that, and we can get plugged in with that larger network of the peer support teams and programs across the country. But a very, very positive overall. And like I said, well over a quarter of the members are doing that. I would definitely say you're more, what's the good word to use? Seasoned, tenured, maybe tenured firefighters. It's a little bit slower of acceptance than I definitely think the newer generation, the newer firefighters coming on, because candidly, they've been doing it for a lot longer, and there wasn't around, and it's kind of a suck it up, kid, that's the job. And I think there's a bit more of an openness by the new generation to come in and say, but it doesn't have to be. Accepting, we should never accept, suicide, mental health, high divorce rates, domestic violence. There shouldn't be just, well, that's just what happens when you're a firefighter. That should be acceptable. And I think you're seeing more of a willingness by some of the newer firefighters or firefighters that have had experience with this to really address those tough issues head on.
Awesome. The next thing I'll ask is, what advice would you give to other fire departments looking to establish similar peer support programs?
It can seem daunting at first. It can seem overwhelming. We're fortunate in Cincinnati. We're just under 900 firefighters right now. So we have capacity. We have the ability to do this. We have a full-time peer support counselor, and we have the ability to do that. Smaller jurisdiction, that's much more difficult, but there are a lot of programs that are out there. Like I said, county, state, international team that can help out with that. The first step is getting, is recognizing that you need it. And that sounds very cliche, but the first step is recognizing that you do need it and what it can help out with. We a lot of the work that the peer support team does is sometimes it's just simply like the gripe session at the firehouse. We talk about morale issues, just firefighter, they're just sitting around complaining and whining and upset about whatever procedural change or issue of the day was. Sending somebody there that has this peer support training, that's a peer support counselor up there just to talk to those guys about it, that in and of itself, venting about that, is therapeutic, so that you're not keeping that on, and that it helps build this resiliency training about accepting things. That's like, hey man, here's what our job here is here to do, but I hear your issues, I hear your complaints, and how can we get those addressed? So recognizing that you need it, and then getting somebody into the training. And I know the state received a grant to provide this training recently here, free of charge for departments that are interested in doing it.
Awesome. Last thing I'll ask here is, how do you measure the effectiveness of the peer support program?
Yeah, well, I think, if you wanted to put it in terms of actually a tangible, we could, over a quarter of the individual members have done it. That's easy. I think more so what you see is are we viewing it as the number of folks that we're getting into help, lost productivity, folks that have had to have very, potentially very serious, or avoid some very serious outcomes. Recently, I'll tell you, we've had a couple members that on their own have kind of worked through the program, and they ended up, they ended up on their own deciding that firefighting wasn't a career choice for them. Believe it or not, that's a success, because years ago, what that would have ended up would have been a call that, hey, so-and-so, harmed themselves, harmed somebody else, may have gotten in trouble with the law. And sometimes that is, believe it or not, a success story, is that firefighting is a tough job. If everybody could do it, it wouldn't be what it is, and it's not. And unfortunately, many times the only way that if you're prepared to do this job is by experiencing it. Sometimes it's that one run. You could have done this job for 20 years, and it's that one run, that one instance, that is the breaking point for you. So, being able to recognize that and preventing, ultimately, what's the worst case scenario for us, which would be suicide, is a positive piece. I think it's appropriate that you're talking about this. It's Suicide Awareness Month, so I think that's a very good measure for us. We unfortunately did have that. I think it just became the vice president on Local 48, and the president was out of town. So I was brand new. I was a new kid. I was 28 years old, and he was out of town, and they were going to. Unfortunately, the city was going to sever employment with them, and it was over a corrective action issue, which really honestly was, at the end of the day, I don't want to say it wasn't a serious issue, but through grievance process, we would have probably been able to figure something out, maybe make sure that he retained his employment. But no mental health was provided at all. There was nothing that was at all. And they couldn't find this individual to serve him as notice of termination, and that's because he had taken his own life. Oh. And it was tough, because it took another 10 years before we finally got a peer support program up and running.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, that's all I have for you. I think that's some great information regarding peer support program.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.